I come from a really stable, happy, loving environment. I had every opportunity given to me. Got into speed and ecstasy and cocaine when I was in my late teenage years. And despite having a really supportive family where I didn't have to struggle for anything, I still got caught up in that. Um, I then got into kind of nightclub security and was selling drugs a bit. I had real issues around being a man and really finding it difficult to understand why I found it so hard to connect with other men. So I've always really struggled with the issues around kind of hypermasculinity and guys really not connecting with one another. So that was always a struggle for me. So I got into the drug scene and was hanging out with organised crime figures. And I was actually looking at outlaw motorcycle clubs because I saw that and I saw what I thought was a brotherhood based on kind of mateship and friendship and belonging, and was really going down the way of getting into that because I saw that as a, that it was fulfilling my need for kind of acceptance and male role models. Thankfully, I spent time around those guys and realised that that there are massive downsides to that, and that there isn't a lot of brotherhood, and I now believe that organisations like that are really built on greed and ego and power. That's where I came across men's work, and it was such a revelation to me as I gone from looking for role models in a really unhealthy place to then coming across gatherings like Tasmen and other men's work where you've got groups of guys that do form a good brotherhood, but the friendships and the connection, in my opinion, is really built on, authenticity and vulnerability and depth and sincerity and a real desire to help one another grow. For me, in my experience, men are still socialized into the gender roles of men being providers and being warriors, and we're still taught to be independent and self-sufficient rather than supporting one another. It's so hard for men to drop those masks of masculinity that we've all been taught to wear, and we still are cultured into that in my very strong belief. So, these gatherings are such a counterculture to the dominant discourse that Hollywood is still churning out about us being like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's bullshit. We're all human beings. We're all feeling, sensitive, loving people. So unfortunately, men need to create environments like these to be able to come together and actually connect and develop deep friendships, drop those masks and really be able to kind of share and talk about stuff that that society still discourages us from doing. I'm lucky I'm involved in a number of men's organisations, so it's changing for me, but I still have the desire to hide away and disconnect when I'm struggling with something. And I think that's so much more prominent for most men because that's how we're still taught. So when you're struggling with something, it's still hard for men to reach out. So coming here, it's a great space to help guys let go of all that rubbish and create an environment in which the dynamic between men is much different than what we see in the outside world. I know overall, I'm so much happier after having found men's work and Tasmen because of the sense of belonging and community, and I just have so many more deep friendships with men that are so supportive and nurturing, and it gives me that sense of belonging and community and support that, as I said, I was looking for in really unhealthy places, and I now have that, and that's why I keep attending these events, partly because of what I get from it, and then even maybe more importantly, what I can give back to new men coming and how I can kind of grow the number of men that are exposed to this stuff. I believe that we can change the world through these kind of men's gatherings because I don't believe men and women are fundamentally that different, but we're cultured into these gender roles that really divide us, that I think are rubbish, and it does men a lot of disservice because we're taught to operate on our own, and that's why this event is so different, because we come together and we're encouraged to we come together for the sake of coming together. You know, we're not here to there's no business deals being done. There's no other agenda other than to get men to come together, because it's healthy and good for men to come together and relate to one another.